mind. It is not the mind. It is not the pranas. It is something beyond that. This is therefore he says it is Shruti Shasanat. It is on account of the commandment of the scripture. The commandment of the scripture says that it is something beyond the mind, beyond the pranas. Okay. I'm just trying to trace that mantra. Dvitiya Khanda, yeah. Aprano Hyamanaha Shubhro Yaksharat Paratah Paraha. There is another term which is added, which is Aksharat Paratah Paraha. Akshara means that which is imperishable. And the Upanishad says that it is beyond the imperishable also. Aksharat Paratah Paraha. It is beyond the Akshara also. Here, one of the meanings that is given is that in some terms, from an evolutionary point of view, the Jivatma is imperishable in one respect because it is something which is there as long as the body, as long as incarnations are there. So that also is indicated by Aksharat Paratah Paraha, and it also means it is beyond the what is considered to be Akshara, what is considered to be imperishable. Also, it is beyond that. So that is the statement here made, and it also refers to the Brihadaranyaka in one way, where the Brihadaranyaka mentions that this is something which is beyond all modifications that occur in the mind. And modifications in the sense, the various tendencies, various things, both in terms of thought and emotions, which go on. And therefore he says, Kamaha, Sankalpaha, Vichikitsa, Shraddha, Ashraddha, Dhruti, Adhruti, Khrihi, Dhihi, Bhihi, Ityetat Sarvam Manaha. All this is mind only. What are they? Kamaha, desire. Sankalpaha. Sankalpa means your idea of deliberation. Deliberation. And then Vichikitsa is doubt. Shraddha can be roughly translated as faith. And it also says Ashraddha. It is not only faith, but want of faith is also included. Similarly, patience and impatience. Dhruti and Adhruti. Khrihi. Khrihi means modesty or shame. Dhihi. Dhihi refers to buddhi. What is normally translated as the intellect or the intelligence sometimes. And also fear. All these are but the mind. This is the Upanishadic verse. That means he's trying to tell you what are all the things that occur in the mind and how it is something beyond the mind. When he says aprana and amanaha, and he is saying it is eternally pure. Shubhraha. Shubhraha is eternally pure. And why he is saying this? It is because this is the commandment given in the scriptures. That is the Veda. Shruti means Veda. Upanishads are a part of the Vedas. So the Veda is considered to be a very important pramana that has the first evidentiary value. There are several evidentiary aspects that are considered in the Vedanta and Nyaya and other darshanas, but all of them uniformly agree that the Shruti or the Veda is an indisputable source of evidence, which is called as pramana. Pramana means something which has which has the value of being provided with evidence or proof. That's what it is. Okay. Then we will now go to the 34th verse. And actually, I would like to go to another commentary here, because between the 33rd and 34th in the one which I am referring, there is another sloka, another verse is there. See, I am referring to two works. One Atmabodha by the one which is published by, I think, the Chinmaya mission, and one by the Ramakrishna mission. This is a very old text. This was written in 1947, and online this is available. This is available online, and it's an interesting thing, because I would recommend those who are seriously interested to download this and read, because he has given almost a 170-page introduction on Vedanta. And he has included very beautiful stotras at the end of it also. So this is a very elaborate book, which I refer quite often for our discussions. But I'm not going by this, I'm going by the earlier one, which is in a way simpler. But as and when required, I'll be referring to this also. And I request you to download this Atmabodha. I'll send the link. I'll send the link to this in the WhatsApp group. Okay. Now this an added sloka is given here. Etasmad jayate prano manah sarvendriyani cha kham vayuhu jyotirapah prithvi vishwasya dharini. He says, when he is referring to the Atman as not this, not this, not this, he is also saying that it is through this Atma or from this Atma, which is equivalent to, which is an indivisible aspect of the Brahman, saying that from it are born breath, prana, mind, and all organs of senses, sarvendriyanicha, and also kham. Kham is a sky or akasha. Vayu is air. Jyotihi is light. Apaha is water. And Prithvi is the earth, which is the support of all. That means these are the Pancha Mahabhutas. These Pancha Mahabhutas are the ones which support the whole of creation. At least to the extent of our planetary system, it controls, it is a support for the whole system, because without the Panchabhutas, there is no creation at all. Okay. So he is referring to that aspect of the Brahman. Etasmad jayate, from it, means this it refers to Brahman, which is one with the Atman. Okay. From this are born all the other things. Born in the sense, as we have discussed earlier, this is projected as reality with respect to the whole of creation. With respect to the whole of creation, it is this aspect of it. And it is on account of the Brahman that everything is sustained and everything is manifested. See, we have to understand one important aspect. I'm going back to the other text now. One important aspect to be remembered is there is this difference between what is a fact, what is actual, what is real, and what is truth. In fact, I have drawn inspiration to mention these terms from my study of Jiddu Krishnamurti. Jiddu Krishnamurti deals with these aspects of factuality, actuality, reality, and truth. There's a subtle difference between these things. Sometimes we call it as Naisargika Satya. Naisargika Satya is that which is factual, which is there. Whether you see it or not, whether you know it or not, it is there. It is the factual aspect of it. Actuality is how you relate to it, how you relate to a fact. That means only when your senses are functioning, you relate to outside objects which are concrete in nature, and there you feel the actuality of it. Then reality is a subjective aspect which is there in the mind. Reality, what according to my understanding of Jiddu Krishnamurti, is that you see something and through the senses your mind grasps it, and the mind makes it an object of its own perception. In the sense, the whole of our consciousness is pervaded with a kind of reality which we create ourselves. That is the reason why, if you remember, when I was talking about the story of the Zen master, who was a disciple approached the Zen master and asked him, can you define to me what this world is? Then immediately the Zen master said, whose world are you talking about? If there are 800 crore people or 8 billion people in this world, there are 8 billion worlds. That means we create a reality of our own and live in that reality. For instance, see, nature is a fact. There's a mountain, there's a tree, there's something out there. Then you relate to it by your senses. So it becomes actual to you. Then you create an image of that mountain or tree and act through it, and it becomes an internalized actuality. So that is what is called as reality. And beyond these three is what is called as the truth. That means truth is beyond the mind. That is precisely what he is saying, aprano hyamanaha subhraha. When he says amanaha, it is beyond the mind. And as I mentioned earlier, he says kama, sankalpa, vichikitsa, shraddha, ashraddha, dhruti, adhruti, hrihi, bhihi, dhihi. All these things are, he says, are aspects of the mind only. Because fear is an aspect which operates in the mind. Intellect is an thing which operates in the mind. Your faith or lack of faith, your doubt or difficulty or deliberation, and your desire is something which acts through the mind. So all these are considered to be as the mind only, and what is beyond the mind is what is called as the truth, which is in other terms called as the Brahman. So that is the important thing, and if I think I might have referred to that Kanchi Kamakoti magazine also, where you can Google it, or I'll trace it out and can send the link also, where he talks about, the Paramacharya talks about Satyam, Asatyam and Mithya. There is something called as Satyam, which is absolute truth, and there is something called as absolute falsehood because it doesn't exist at all. The example that was given earlier also, if I remember right, is that of the horn of a horse or the child of a barren woman. These are all very typical, traditional examples that are given of asatya, which are not there at all, which do not exist and which cannot exist and which do not find any reality or truth in them. In between is all mithya. Everything else is mithya in the sense which have only a temporary presence, which have only impermanence associated with them. They are subject to change and modification, and they are also subject to not being understood in themselves, because they have this element of what is called as uncertainty. You don't know when they will vanish, when they will modify, when they will change into some other form. But that's what we see in the world also. The tree may not remain a tree all through. A mountain may not remain a mountain all through. Or something else, rivers also change their courses. So there is that element of impermanence and change and constant modification that is going on in that. So in that terms, the Jagat is referred to as Mithya. Mithya doesn't mean something, it's a myth and it doesn't exist. That's a very wrong concept, a very wrong understanding of that also. Mithya is what the Paramacharya calls in that is what we normally associate with Vyavaharika Satya and Pratibhasika Satya. He uses two terms. Vyavaharika Satya is a reality which we associate through transactional association. That means through our senses, through our mind, through our interaction with what is outside. So that is a Vyavaharika Satya. Then there is a Pratibhasika Satya, is what is in a reflective truth. Pratibhasa means a reflection. A reflection reality is created internally. We have an external transactional reality and an internal reality in our own mind, which is called as a Pratibhasika Satya. I'll not go much into it, but as I said, it's a very interesting article, not a big article. It's an interesting article which, if you can Google Kanchi Kamakoti magazine and talk about the three Satya, Satya and Mithya, then you will get it. Or otherwise, I keep forgetting these things because of so much of other, not even that. I would rather say it is lethargy on my part. I say something and suddenly miss it out.
I'll remind you.
Yeah, please remind me so that I can do it. Okay. So I'll give the link for the book which I have referred, and also to this Kanchi Kamakoti thing which I was referring in terms of these three types of truth, absolute falsehood, and everything that falls in between is what is called as mithya. Okay, that's where we refer to the, as I said, Vyavaharika Satya, Pratibhasika Satya, and Paramarthika Satya. Okay, so then we will now go to the 34th one. Here again, he is defining it in all negative terms. Nirguno, Nishkriyo, Nityo, Nirvikalpo, Niranjanaha, Nirvikaro, Nirakaro, Nityamuktosmi, Nirmalaha. How do one identify oneself? He says, unless you understand intuitively that everything associated with the me is only an accretion, is only an acquisition, is only what you have attached to yourself. When he says Asmi or I am, he is clearly referring to the self, that it is nirguna. That means it is beyond all attributes, all the three gunas. And it is nishkriya. It does not perform any action whatsoever. And it is nitya, it is eternal. It is nirvikalpa. It doesn't get modified through thought or desire. Niranjana, that means it is stainless. Nothing can stick to it. Niranjana is stainless. Nirvikara. Vikara means modification or change. It does not undergo any change. Nirakara, it is formless. And it is Nityamukta. It is ever liberated. In its pristine form, it doesn't seek any liberation because it itself is liberated. It is already liberated. It is brought into bondage through accretions, through what we have attached to the I. And it is nirmala. Because it is stainless, it is ever pure also. This is the beauty of it, where, see, normally it is considered that what you come about is something which is beyond us. But at one level, it is also within our grasp. Within our grasp, in the sense, if one can very clearly identify the fact that the I is an accretion and an artificially created entity. The I has only a functional reality. And based on this functional aspect of it, it has created a very robust structure around it. And so the structure is so strong and so robust, which it has created itself, it's now unable to break that structure and realize that it is only meant for a very limited purpose and function. That's all. Am I making myself clear? See, what I want you to intuitively come to understand is that what is it that I call as the I? What does it mean? How do you define this I, or how do you identify this I? Fundamental aspect is that we all know that we exist. But no external evidence or no external source is required to tell us that I exist, isn't it? This is what is called as Swatah Siddha, Swatah Pramana. This is I am there. The Indic perspective starts with this aspect of the very consciousness of the presence of a being apart from the body and all the other things. Please mind this. When I am saying I am referring to an entity which need not be identified with the body. There is an entity which recognizes itself as present, which is a very important aspect of the combination of Sat and Chit. Pure existence and pure consciousness, when we talk about it, when they combine together, they create this entity of the I which is there. And does it require any evidentiary support? Is it required that somebody else has to come and prove that you are there? Not necessary, right? From the day we are born, initially maybe for a few months or a year or two, the child may not recognize as a strong, independent, separate entity. But as it grows, it comes to that identity that I am there. The Indic perspective starts with this aspect of it. Unlike the Western perspective and the what was brought in by thinkers and philosophers like Descartes. René Descartes is attributed with that statement that I think, therefore I am. Je pense, donc je suis is the statement which is made in French. He says, I think, that means I have the capability to think, and therefore I am. Which is a wrong direction from which you are approaching things. The Indic perspective, the ancient Indian perspective is very clear. It says, I am, therefore I think. I am there, and therefore I think. Now, when you identify yourself with this I, now if you want to define it or expand it or explain it or elaborate on this I, you will find that every explanation, every definition, every elaboration, everything is only an accretion. Is only an accretion. The name is an accretion. Suppose the name were not to be there, are you not there? Do you always identify yourself with the body completely? So there could be a state when I need not identify myself with the body and still I am there. Similarly, about my thoughts or feelings or sensations or emotions or all that I acquire in my life is what is building this I. Progressively it is building this I. My education, my qualifications, my color, my religion, my language, my culture, my background, my gender, my various jobs which I do, my earnings, my property. You name the thing, it's only an accretion. Is this aspect very clear to us or not is what is my question. Because the moment we are clear with this, we are already liberated. You need not go anywhere to get liberated or think that liberation is something impossible or which is very, very difficult. Because this I essentially is pure being, a pure sentient being, a combination of Sat and Chit, and in its pristine, pure state, it is always blissful. Why? It is Nirguna. No attributes can attach to it truly. It doesn't perform any action whatsoever. It is eternally there. And it is not modified by the superficial waves in the consciousness in the form of desires and thoughts. And it is absolutely stainless. It doesn't undergo any change or modification. It doesn't have a form. It is ever pure, and therefore it is ever liberated. Are we able to appreciate this point? There is some chat. Let me see. Yes, grateful, thanks. Yeah, Ramchandranji, I'll post it, then you thank me. Till such time you don't thank me. Sir, many times curse both mind and body for all the misdeeds and mischiefs. Yes, the mind and the body is only a superficial aspect of it, as I said. So I am saying I'll just stop this sharing, and I want to see the participants. Read. Yeah, most of you are invisible except me, and maybe I am able to see Bina ji. Most of you are invisible. Why I want to see all of you is that do you agree that in the past 15-20 minutes of what I have discussed, we are all liberated? Do you agree that we are liberated now? If we are able to clearly perceive the fact that I am a pure sentient being and whatever I identify myself with is an accretion, is something which I am attaching to myself. Therefore, it is not the I, it's not the true being. In that sense, we are already liberated. In that sense, we are already liberated. It is only that the mind does not allow you to accept that truth because it will lose its own identity and becomes irrelevant. I don't want to give it up, you know. We have worked for so many decades and have come to this state of acquiring so many things and attaching them to myself. So when that is the fact, why would I give it up? So the mind won't allow you to give it up. The mind won't allow you to give up. So this is the mind is the problem. That's why it said Manayava Manushyanam Karanam Bandhamokshayoho. For both liberation and bondage, it is only the mind which is responsible, because the mind won't allow anything to be to let go anything. So what is important is to simply let go. And that's where the Nirvana Shatkam comes. Mano Buddhya Hankara Chittani Naham Chidananda Rupa Shivoham Shivoham. I'm not the Manas, I'm not the Buddhi, I'm not the Hankara, I'm not the Chitta. He doesn't even, in fact, Adi Shankara doesn't even talk about Sat. He says, I am Chidananda Rupa. He says, I have no being at all in that sense. So I am pure bliss and pure consciousness and pure bliss. And I am Shiva. Shiva means that which is sacred, that which is auspicious. He says, I am that. So it is only a case of coming to a state of mind where one recognizes this fact very clearly. That is the reason why it is said that liberation is the most easiest thing and the most difficult thing simultaneously. The moment you come to this recognition that this I, which I have created, is an artificially contrived mechanism for the survival of the various bodies that are there attached to it. So it is like the tail wagging the dog. The body is taking control of the Atma and dominating that principle, that eternal principle operating through it to such an extent that it won't even allow the Atmic principle to be recognized as present. What is present is the mind only. What is present is my thoughts, my desires, my feelings, my emotions. They dominate the whole system, and actually you are asphyxiating, you are suffocating the Atman, which is eternally free, Nityamukta. That is the importance of this whole exercise. That's why I keep saying again and again that we are talking from an intuitive perspective and an intuitive appreciation of it, because at some point or the other, you have to keep this mind aside because this mind is an artificially contrived entity which is to take care of the operating functional aspects of it, of manifestation. Like the security guard taking possession of the whole house and driving away the owner. The security guard has taken control of the house and driven out the owner. So Atma has been thrown out and the Manas has occupied the whole building, whole structure. This is the fact we have to recognize. No, it is actually truly liberating. This thought is truly liberating because now you don't mind anything. Let somebody takes away something, give it away. If somebody asks you to go out, you will go away. This is what literally happened to Jiddu Krishnamurti also. They simply put all his luggage outside and said, go away. He said, okay, fine with me, I'll go away. Sometimes we don't even remember what we possess unless somebody reminds us. Somebody has to point out that, yeah, you have stored this in your house, which you have never used it for so many years, but you are still attached to it. Are we able to willingly let it go? That is the beauty of it. So the security guard should be at his proper place. The owner should be at his proper place. The operator, the person who is without whom the whole structure collapses, is being given a totally insignificant role to play. So in a way, the Atma inside is crying to, to dismantle this whole structure which has been created. Normally what happens is, when you are talking about all the aspects which are given there, it appears to be a mental conception. Please come out of that mental conception. That is my request. See, please come out of that mental conception. When somebody is saying, oh, I see, acha, okay, so the Atman is defined as Nirguna, Nishkriya, Anitya, Nirvikalpa, Niranjana, Nirvikara, Nirakara, Nitya Mukta, okay, sir, very good. All start with Ni, is okay. It's not a mental concept. Please come out of, we have to come out of that mental concept and see the reality of it. It is really so. It is really so, because truly the being with whom we can identify ourselves, nothing can truly attach itself to it. Now, another way of looking at it would be, suppose I drop dead this moment. What happens to all these accretions? What happens to all these accretions? They drop along with me. So the loss of a physical body is a kind of an instantaneous disconnect with all the things with which I was associated. Whether it is things, persons, emotions or thoughts or whatever things I have been attached with, and with one stroke, it's cut and totally disconnected. No, something which is so fragile, should it dominate us, is the question one has to ask. Something which can be simply cut off and on which we have absolutely no control. It could be an accident or a disease or decay. These are the three ways in which the body can be destroyed: being involved in an accident, being eaten away by a disease, or be simply progressively decaying. So something so fragile, we are holding on to it so tightly, unwilling to give it up at all, and allowing it to run riot. After my desires, after my thoughts, after my emotions, after my deep attachment to people, my wife, my husband, my children, my grandchildren, all this is because of the presence of the Atman, who should be given the proper place and proper role in one's own life. That is the reason another aspect has to be remembered also, is that liberation is not a once for all aspect. It is not a one-time affair, as though it is once you achieve it, you are through with it. No. You live moment to moment in that state of liberation, where time has no role to play. Functionally, yes. Functionally, time has a role to play. But other than that, to live in a state of complete bliss as a pure being from moment to moment is liberation. Difference we have to understand. See, why moksha or mukti or liberation is given so much of importance is that there is a caveat attached to it. They have gone through the whole thing and said that you are caught in a vicious cycle of what is called as a compulsive birth and death. The cycle of compulsive birth and death. Coming out of that compulsion is what is mukti, liberation. But while you are alive, you can experience the same state. One can experience the same state when one is alive and kicking and doing everything, because you are not operating from the mind, but you are operating from that intelligence which is called as prajna. So all your actions are from that prajna, which can never err. You can never go wrong there. Your mind may mislead you. Your thoughts and desires may twist us, they may create an unentangled, unentangleable. Actually, you are unable to entangle, unwind or come out of it, and it could create a bundle which is leading you astray. But that intelligence doesn't lead you anywhere, can never lead you astray. So see, why I have remembered this also is yesterday we had a program on Jiddu Krishnamurti, which we have every Saturday evening. In that, one of the beautiful statements of Jiddu Krishnamurti is, when there is no psychological involvement or psychological demand, when there is absolutely no psychological involvement or psychological demands. Psychological involvement means the mind, the involvement of the mind and the demands of the mind. If they are not there, he says, truth then operates on reality through intelligence. This is such a beautiful statement. I think we should frame it and put it in our homes and constantly meditate upon it, constantly ruminate upon it. He says, when there is no psychological involvement or demands, and the actual quotation is, truth then operates on reality. What is this reality? I have already talked about the reality. This reality is the whole world, including your mind. The whole of creation, both external and internal, is the reality. So that truth operates on reality through intelligence, through that prajna. Then what happens? You are always in a state of liberation. You are ever liberated. There is no question of liberation coming and going, or you are going into a state of consciousness and coming out of it and going in and coming out of it. Only for functional purposes you may operate in reality. Functional purposes you operate in this world. Beyond that, there is nothing else to do. And when that intelligence is operating, it will lead you to truth. And that intelligence also dictates at every moment what is the right thing to be done. Therefore, there is no option for you there. Whether to do this or do that is an option which comes through the mind and its deliberations and doubts and difficulties. But when that intelligence is operating, you are ever liberated. And you are right. When Bina says that intelligence only operates in the moment, that means in the timeless state. See, last time I think we discussed about this also. Can anybody identify the thin line dividing the past from the future? It's absolutely incomprehensible and impossible. The present can be there, or what is called as a continuum of time, only in the absence of the past and the future. Only in the absence of the past and the future. Manjula ji, the quote is, when there is no psychological involvement or demands, truth then operates on reality through intelligence. Truth then operates on reality through intelligence. That is the quote. See, at least as far as I am concerned, I have seen that a deeper understanding of Krishnamurti's teachings has made all the scriptures, the Upanishads and the Bhagavad Gita and Vedanta as such, much more clearer to me. Because if you fall into the traditional trap, you are lost. The traditional trap will only verbalize things for you. The verbal expression is a limitation because the experience should become non-verbal. Unfortunately, the mind creates an illusion that because you have understood some words, you have also understood the truth. It gives you that false impression of having understood the truth. No, it never can do that. Because the mind wants to deceive. So that is the reason why one has to go into these things very carefully. And as I repeat, that one needs to have that intuitive perspective and an intuitive appreciation of all these statements. If you try it, if one tries to grapple all these statements purely from the mind, it will only be a mental exercise. It is like exercising your muscles. The mind will only grow stronger and enter into domains where it has no business. It enters into domains where it has no business to do anything. It has a limited, field of operation. That is the meaning of this statement. This idea is further carried over. This idea is further carried over in the 35th verse. It says, Aham akashavat sarvam bahir antargatochyutaha sada sarvasamashuddho nissango nirmalochalaha. Again, the similar terms are used in a negative this thing, or in expressions which are negation of something which is known. And again, he uses the beautiful analogy of the sky or the space. Aham akashavat sarvam. I am like the sky. I am like the space which occupies inside and outside. Bahirantargataha. And I am achyuta, infallible. I don't descend. The mind has to leave itself and ascend to it. That's the meaning of achyuta. Sada sarvasamaha. I am the same in all at all times. I am pure. I am totally unattached. I am stainless and I am motionless. Achalaha. I don't move. The same idea is brought out here to impress upon us that it is like this akasha. That's why in manifestation, Akasha is the first tattva, first Mahabhuta. And sound is associated with Akasha. Sound is a vibration. Manifestation has this aspect of Shabda Brahma. The unmanifest aspect of is what is called as the Nada Brahma, the voice of the silence. Nada is that voice of the silence. It doesn't create any ripple or vibration. It is only the Shabda that creates a ripple or a vibration and has a frequency for manifestation. So I am like that space, which is everything. Which is Bahirantargataha. Bahihi means outside, Antargata means inside. I feel the whole thing inside and outside. And I have told you again that the beauty of that Akasha is that everything is in Akasha, but nothing can touch Akasha. And Achyuta, yes?
I just wanted to ask you, aren't all these qualities which are expressed here are the qualities of Brahman, which is always...
No. I want you to go beyond that. Don't think in terms of qualities or attributes of Brahman. It is only to give a mental concept. It is only to allow us to at least realize mentally that there is something which the mind cannot touch, which is beyond the mind. You understand, Meenaji?
Yeah, but all the scriptures also that the Aham Brahmasmi, Tattvam Asi.
Yeah, all are words only.
No, but these are the...
No. See, when you come back into the functional reality, you utter those statements. While you are one with the Brahman, is there any scope of saying Aham Brahmasmi?
No. So these are the qualities which we have to, understand the attributes of that oneness.
No, don't even think in terms of qualities. What I am trying to tell you is all these slokas, all these words are allowing you to mentally appreciate at one level as to what it is. But kindly go to the intuitive level and see the truth behind it. If you try to grapple with the mind, you will be lost in words. That is the reason I have said earlier also, with all humility, I have mentioned that a fool called a speaker like me is here who is trying to verbalize all these things to a great extent. But don't be enamored or don't be caught in the words. See, that is the reason why one fool is sufficient to speak and articulate on these subjects. The moment you try to grapple with the mind, these terms, then you are actually losing the fragrance of it. I don't know whether I'm making myself clear. See, Meenaji, try to allow this whole explanation to sink in and create a fragrance of that eternal principle, which will truly let you to, allow you to come in contact with it. If you allow the mind to enter at any level, it will disconnect that contact and the mind assumes importance. Okay?
Yeah, yes.
So,
yes.
Is it that about Purusha Sukta? The
No.
manifestation.
Forget about the Purusha Sukta, forget about the Sri Sukta, forget about all Suktas. Forget
Okay,
about
okay.
even the Nasadiya Sukta. There is a very important Sukta called as the Nasadiya Sukta in the Rigveda,
Okay.
in the 10th Mandala. That's a very, very profound Sukta. It is beyond all Suktas.
Okay, sir. Okay, sir.
Please try
Okay.
to, no, don't allow the mind to interfere in this process, and don't try to remember anything which you have read or heard from the past. You understand the point, Manjula ji?
Yes, sir. I got it. Thank you.
If you are able to allow that, give it some space. Don't clutter it with your ideas in the mind. Please allow it to have that great space. If you have that space, meditation will automatically occur. You need not meditate. Providing it that space is what is important in the mind, whereby meditation automatically occurs. And that is why Krishnamurti used to repeatedly say that meditation is when the meditator is not. As long as the meditator dominates the process, there cannot be meditation at all. So there's no question of guiding you in meditation, taking you into meditation, explaining meditation, and conducting an elaborate course on meditation, because that's the falsity of it. What is required is to provide that space. That is the Akasha. There's another reason why Krishnamurti says connect to nature. Connecting to nature is one way of providing you that space. Go on a solitary walk. Look at the beauty of a tree. Don't identify the tree, saying that this is a neem tree, this is a tamarind tree, or this is an oak tree, or some other tree. You look at the beauty of the tree. Be attentive to the sounds of the bees, the birds, the animals. Look at the flowers, look at the sky, look at the cloud, look at the mountains. Take the whole thing into your being without allowing interference from the mind. So then what happens is you create that space. Creating of that space will lead you to meditation effortlessly, and you will come into contact with that reality of which all these words are only symbols. Achyuta, Sarvasama, Shuddha, Nissanga, Nirmala, Achala, all these are mere words.
So sir,
Yes. Yes.
You don't.
Your voice is breaking, Meenaji.
No nama.
Huh?
No nama rupa. That means
beyond the nama and rupa.
Yes.
Going beyond the nama and the rupa.
Yeah. Okay.
You come to it.
Yeah.
Don't allow any of these things to dominate you. That is the reason why I'm saying, see, we have already driven the owner out of the house. And we are trying to decorate the house with all these symbols. What is the fun? It is occupied, the house is, the whole house is occupied by the security guard, to whom it doesn't belong, number one. Number two, you are trying to decorate that house with all these symbols, which the security guard has no value for it. He doesn't recognize any of these things. So create that space through which the owner of the house can come in effortlessly And that space creates that the whole sense of that meditation. It's an effortless process. But the mind says, one part of the mind says to the other part that I should meditate, I should sit quietly, I should do. Who is saying to whom? You are fragmenting the mind also, because the mind by its own nature is divisive. So one fragment of the mind says to the other fragment, no, I have to be disciplined, I have to do meditation, I have to do pranayama, I have to do yoga. Yet doing it is something different, but dictating, one part dictating to the other is another confusion that is created. That is where we are missing the, as it is repeatedly said, that you are missing the beauty of it. You are missing the fragrance of it. You are missing the vastness of it. When I say you, please don't think that I am excluding myself. I'm only using it as a figure of speech. It is we who are missing the fragrance, we who are missing the vastness of it, we who are missing the exquisite beauty of it. That is what is to be recognized by all these words which are only symbols. Okay, I see something in the chat. Yeah. Ramchandran says, not explicit in the scripture. It is explicit at one level, but we don't want it because we have dominated it with a lot of commentaries and explanations. Actually, the explanations which explain nothing. Sarangi ji says, my existence is the present. Yes, it is there. Being. When you give great space to the all stupidity here hurts and leaves the leave in grief, sometimes think better of without without see the stupidity of our whole life is revealed to us. Then it also tells you that you don't do anything because you doing something is again from the mind. I have to do something is a statement of the mind, which is the root of the problem. And Bina ji is right when she says pure action is when the actor is not. Yeah. But don't make this into again another statement of the mind. That's my request. One can go beyond this. Accepting the truth in the words expressed and explained by you. Thank you very much. Thank you, Gulu Advani ji. Simply allow it to sink. Allow these explanations and expressions and words which are used. Let the essence of it sink, which can happen only when the mind does not interfere in this whole process. There's no psychological involvement and a psychological demand from the mind. That is what is referred to in this context. See, if you simply go by any traditional explanation and traditional way of putting things across, there is that great possibility and probability of missing the essence of it and the fragrance of it. See, once we are disconnected with this accretion process of the I, then we are actually truly liberated and nothing else really matters. Nothing else really matters now. You're happy otherwise. Atmanyeva atmana tushtaha. Sthitadhir muniruchyate. Atmanyeva atmana tushtaha. The self completely satisfied in the self, completely assimilated in the self. There's nothing beyond it. Okay. I think we have gone on for about 1 hour, 5 minutes or so. Anything else? Now, this again a statement. Manjula ji, don't make a statement. Keep the mind silent is one part of the mind saying to the other part saying that I should keep silent. This is the fallacy of it. This is the drama the mind keeps on playing. So my humble request to all of you is not that I don't want discussion. If there is any point which is not clear, that we will discuss. But articulating in your own terms is a mental interference. That's what I want you to understand. That's all. Okay.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
Thank you. That is the reason why when one understands the truth at its own level, one becomes totally silent, because he knows that any word. Bina ji, could you mute yourself? Bina ji.
Yes.
You are on unmute. Okay, sorry. Okay, so this is what I am trying to tell you, and I am again asking you to please pardon me for all this explanation, because the explanation is not true. The explanation is not the truth in any manner. It is only, as I said, a pointer. It is only a guidepost. The very traditional example that is again given is pointing to this to the moon. The finger pointing to the moon. The finger is not the truth, and the finger is not actually leading you to the moon also. It is only pointing. So any speaker on this subject can only be a pointer and nothing beyond it, and don't give too much of cognizance or importance to this pointer. The moment you grasp it and absorb it, one would become silent and revel in that exquisite beauty, in that fragrance, in that vastness of the whole, the what I would say as a blissful state of being. So any further discussion on this point in terms of clarity, that's what I want, not in terms of elaboration of what is discussed, but in terms of clarity. If somebody has any point to make in terms of seeking some clarity on this, most welcome.
I think, Krishnaphani ji, that instead of trying to define the Brahman, we should just understand that we are limited and drop that limitation and the
absolutely. You are right that way in the sense. Don't dwell on the Brahman which is unknown and unknowable. Dwell on the limited aspect of it and see the limitation very clearly.
Right.
See the limitation very clearly. See the kind of mischief the mind can play on itself.
Correct.
That is what is observation is about. That is what is self-knowledge or self-study is about. Again, knowledge not from the point of view of the mind, not as some accretion, but as coming to a non-verbal realization of that yes, I am stuck in this limitation. That very perception liberates us. Ramchandran ji says, but the path is painful and no glamour, full of thorns and ups and downs. Sir, observe that. Observe that pain. Observe the thorns. Observe the ups and downs. Because they are superficial. Why are you identifying yourself with the ups and downs and thorns and pain? That is the mind playing the mischief again. The mind playing that mischief. Do you see that? Oh, it is so painful, it is so this thing, and life has no meaning, life has no purpose. Life is a celebration. For one who sees the limitation and does not allow that limitation to operate upon. That's what I am trying to say. Okay. Any further discussion? I don't see Umesh Dhagatji. Umesh Dhagatji has left. Yes. And anybody else? Anybody else would like to discuss something? If there is any, yes.
When you made just now about life being a celebration, it really is what you make of it, and how you take
No,
life.
no. Again, one small caveat to that.
Huh.
It is not what one makes of it. Life is. No.
Yeah.
You try to see this. Try to see the subtle point which I am trying to make. Life is.
Right. Okay.
Don't make anything out of it. Making anything out of it is the job of the mind.
Yes.
Yeah.
Functionally, you may make yourself comfortable. Functionally, you may earn some money. Functionally, you may provide things for yourself and create a background of surviving. Food, nourishment, shelter, clothing.
No,
To the extent required, yes.
I was actually not talking so much about the material part of it when I said life is what you make it, but the thing is how you mentally approach every situation,
So
the
I
ups
would
and downs.
I would like to change the traditional terms and words and idiom also.
Okay.
And can we say it the other way around? Life is what we unmake of it.
Okay, sure.
You understand the point I am trying to make?
Yes.
Again, I am saying that the point I am trying to make. But the actual part of it is the life is what we try to unmake of it.
Okay. Yes.
It becomes already enough complication has been made.
Right.
To our own ignorance, we have made enough complication.
Right.
So it is more a question of unmaking.
Okay.
And unlearning.
Yeah.
Very nice.
Yeah. We make it very complex. Yeah. That's true.
Okay.
Okay.
So if there is no further discussion or any point to be made for further clarification, I think
Thank you so much.
we can close it.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I wanted to tell everybody that everyone was asking for the recordings of Atmabodha. They are all whatever we have and whatever has been recorded. There was a period where we couldn't record. All of these have been uploaded on the YouTube channel of the School of Ancient Wisdom. All right. So I think especially Ramachandran ji was asking. So and maybe a few more. So just note that we've had it uploaded. So it's uploaded for your information. And I was, Krishnaphani ji, I was just thinking that the J. Krishnamurti classes were so interesting, which we were doing earlier. And we stopped that and we started Atmabodha. At some point, can we go back to it?
Yeah, we can. Atmabodha, we can. We see there are totally about 68 verses in this.
Right.
We are halfway through. We have completed 34 or 35.
Yeah.
So we have another maybe 2-3 months to go.
Okay.
But as I said, my whole purpose is my own study and understanding is that when I jump from the understanding of JK to Vedanta and back and forth, there is a lot of clarity in that.
Right.
Yes.
Vedanta becomes much more clear.
Yeah.
Because as Krishnamurti says, Vedanta is ending of the known.
Right.
It is the ending of the known which is important, not coming to the unknown. The unknown you can anyway not come through this process. So ending of the known is what is important.
Yeah. I think we all appreciate the very short, very simple sentences that JK says, which are so profound,
Yes.
Yeah.
And they encompass so much, knowledge in that one thing. So it would be very nice. So we can talk about that later. So thank you everybody for being here. And we look forward to seeing you again for the Bhagavad Gita class on Friday. Thursday, we have our usual School of Ancient Wisdom satsang on Thursday at 6:30. And I think we're starting a few more new ones. We have meditation on Saturday morning, and which was there last week also. It will be there this week. And we also have a new class starting by Vani on, I think, Ramana Maharishi. So we will post details of all of these programs on the School of Ancient Wisdom group. Please just be aware of that. Thank you so much. And
I request Sumanji, can you do Loka Samasta?
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Please.
Loka samasta sukhino bhavantu. Loka samasta sukhino bhavantu. Loka samasta sukhino bhavantu. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om Shri Guru Pyo Namaha. Hari Om Shri Krishna Arpanam.
Thank you.